Nothing surprises me anymore. Hi, my name is Sydney, welcome back to hell. And as per usual, before we launch in, today's video is sponsored by Emmy. It is like really hot in here. Now, I personally think motherhood is really neat. I mean, in addition to the fact that women literally birth other humans, we also incubate them. Like, cute little loaves of bread. You don't incubate a loaf of bread. You know what I mean? The whole process, at least in my view, means that women are pretty bloody special creatures. And dads, men, yes, you are also very special. But the sum total of your physical contribution is done usually once you put away your yogurt rifle. But as most of you by this point well know, it is disturbing me greatly how the uniqueness of women is slowly being erased. And the examples I have today in this video to illustrate that are absolutely no exception. Now, I admit that I'm a little late to this party, but I'm here now, better late than never. And some of you might remember a video that went viral many months back where a biological male who identifies as a woman was filmed trying to breastfeed a baby to which they claimed to be the mother. But the mother who gave birth to the child is a biological woman who identifies as a male. So it's like being straight with extra steps. Now you're getting it.
It just sounds like slavery with extra steps!
So yeah, anyway, this is the mother in question. I don't know what you expected, but this is probably what came to mind.
DC is forcing me to label myself as the mother, and that's not the case. Paterna is the mother.
This whole birth certificate thing is really causing me a lot of hurt. Trans women can be mothers.
Now, I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but no.
The baby has been able to latch, but I've not been able to produce any milk. It's okay, because we're gonna supplement the feeding with formula so that my baby's still getting the nutrients that they need. I appreciate you so much for all your work.
And I appreciate you also, baby. I couldn't have done it without you.
I know I'm like a year late to this story, but no. There is not and will never be enough nope in the world. So this exists, a lot of people saw it, but the topic itself did not go away. No, just recently I found this article. Male breastfeeding post sparks concern on social media. That is true. This is doing me a concern. The post titled, "Oh my god, I'm breastfeeding my daughter." I thought the term was chest feeding. Or does that only apply when we're raising biological women? The post reads, "I've been working with a lactation consultant and my GP for several months now to induce lactation. And this last month have started to actually produce some milk, but it still doesn't feel real. My wife gave birth on Thursday and we finally had a chance to come home from the hospital and sleep and actually compose myself. But the last few days our daughter has been latching to and feeding from both of us. I'm so excited. There was a part of me that was irrationally afraid that the baby would reject me for not being her real mum, but I'm so glad to see that little voice proven wrong." If you had told me about any of this like 5 years ago, I would have thought it was fake. Like, I would have thought this was some elaborate troll. Except apparently I would have been wrong because we've been talking about this since 2017 and 2018. "This is a very big deal," says Joshua Saffer of Boston Medical Center, who was not involved with the treatment. "Many transgender women are looking to have as many of the experiences of non-transgender women as they can. So I can see this will be extremely popular." Time really flies when society makes you want to peel your skin off. I love how these people act like these super unique female biological processes are a fashion trend. Wow, today I woke up and felt like doing a little bit of a breastfeed, a little bit of a pregnancy. Who knows, maybe I'll go down to the shop later and get a pressed. Is this where I scream at somebody that my biology is not your fashion statement? As a biological woman, a lot of this makes me very mad. In fact, all of it makes me very mad. And actually, I have to say, the 2017 article that I referenced earlier is something else. The writer describes that they kind of got off on breastfeeding the baby. But don't judge, teehee. Yes, we will probably judge this weird person, that much is true, but you know who won't judge you? Our wonderful sponsor of today's video, Emmy. You could buy the ramen that makes you a bloaty McBloaterson. I see you with your wheat and your gluten and your carbs while your insides scream.
All you feed me is puffins! I need nourishment!
But there is a solution. A ramlution. Don't even try. Imi is a ramen with only 6 grams of carbs and 21 grams of protein. So if you're into keto or you lift up heavy things and put them back down again, this could be what you need. Imi is also plant-based and dairy-free, which on a serious note, if you're like me and you try to eliminate bread and pasta and things from your diet, thanks autoimmune condition. Oh, you're quite welcome. Then this is actually a solution to the I want pasta cravings. Imi has 4 times more fiber than other instant ramen brands, it's lower in sodium, and comes in 3 yummo flavors. I really like the spicy beef flavor, and I really enjoy that this ramen has so much protein. I also don't feel icky after eating it, and that makes a big difference to me. So if you too don't want to feel icky, then click the link in the description and use code Sydney Watson for $5 off a variety pack. Imi also has a 100% happiness guarantee, so you can test it, try it out, and if you don't like it, then Imi will refund you within 30 days. So the Reddit post in question got a lot of responses, and I would know. I read through all of them. And there were lots of other people saying that they were also inducing lactation so they could breastfeed. In most of the cases too, they highlight all the drugs they are taking to induce said lactation. Which, I know I'm not a doctor, but I feel like maybe isn't that good for a child to be ingesting. For me at least, whether you're producing milk or not, there's no benefit for the infant. So this becomes an indulgence thing for the parent. But like, what else is new? Modern society is the period of time where parents use their children as props to signal to other parents or fulfill their own fantasy roleplay of motherhood. Around the same time that this Reddit post took off, another article popped up. Astonishing moment, transgender paramedic who was born male breastfeeds her newborn baby after wife gives birth, as critics say only women can produce milk. This story is much the same as the others, but the part that really stood out to me was how Buckley believed she had the right to breastfeed her infant. I already said it, there's an entitlement thing here that really rubs me the wrong way. It apparently isn't enough to erase women from the equation entirely, telling us that being a woman doesn't really mean anything, it's how you feel and identify. But now motherhood is legitimately not special because apparently anyone can do it. And the thing about this topic that really does my head in is that if anybody, an individual or a group of people, try to stand up to these narratives, they either have to retract their comments, they get attacked and vilified for what they have to say, or, honestly, they don't even make the comment to begin with. In 2012, a Canadian breastfeeding lactation support group / charity rejected a transgender man's bid to become a lactation coach, saying only women can breastfeed. In 2020, they completely shifted their stance. According to a Redux article, peer-reviewed research into the nutritional value of male breast fluid is hard to come by, and some researchers report even having been discouraged from inquiring out of fear of medically justified transphobia. This is my emotional response to all of this information.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Now, I will caveat this because no doubt some of you biological experts are going to say this in the comments, but yes, men can lactate in specific situations, and oftentimes it relates to a hormonal imbalance or disorder. However, the milk that they are producing that is coming out of their nipples or chests or whatever you want to call this is, according to Dr. Maya Bowen, not mother's milk, but a watery substance devoid of antibodies and nutrients that are found in mother's milk, the composition of which changes as the baby grows up. Although, as expected, I found plenty of articles and research papers saying that there is virtually no difference between the milk that a biological woman produces and a transgender woman produces. Except for like all the drugs a biological man has to take to induce lactation in the first place. Take me back to the 90s. Yeah, we had dial-up and it made that noise, but you know, at least none of this was happening. In fact, on the hellhole Reddit, not to be confused with this hellhole, this one won't give you a brain aneurysm, there is a guide to lactation for men. Very helpful indeed. Therapy Nah. Domperidone. Listen, if the rise of mental health problems on TikTok isn't real now, it will be in 10 years. Just you wait. Now, the destruction of motherhood moves us right along to a new topic and articles that I saw recently that also made me sad inside.
Today I want to tell y'all how I could be the world's first pregnant transgender woman.
Nope, it's cool. I'm fine. We don't have to do this right now.
Now am I actually going to be the first one? Who knows? But you're probably wondering, how can a transgender woman be pregnant if she doesn't have a uterus? Well, that's why you do a uterine transplant. So long story short, a donor uterus would be planted into me, it would be fertilized, a baby would be born, and then the uterus would be taken out so my body doesn't reject it. Now, of course, the baby technically would not be my biological child unless I chose to fertilize the egg with my frozen man juice. And this should all be possible within like the next 10 to 20 years. So when I'm like 28 years old, I could get pregnant. I could be pregnant.
So there is this idea that we actually discussed in a recent video on this channel that biological men can in fact get pregnant, I suppose, and carry a baby. I showed you all a 2016 video where a man suggested that a child could be implanted in a man's abdominal cavity, and then that baby could gestate, and theoretically, that man could carry that child. But also, like, probably not, because they have no way to feed it internally with the nutrients. Men do not have placentas. But we've come a long way since 2016. Now, doctors think they can take a womb from a woman, implant it into a man, and a man can get pregnant and carry a child that way. Still facing the issue of no placenta or literally any other biological processes to grow a baby. A story from early May looked at how a doctor in New Delhi, India, has announced he is preparing to implant a womb into a biological male who identifies as a woman. Every transgender woman wants to be as female as possible, and that includes being a mother, says the doctor. The way towards this is with a uterine transplant, the same as a kidney or any other transplant. This is the future. We cannot predict exactly when this will happen, but it will be very soon. Does this not remind you all of that quote from the movie with the dinosaurs that I never saw?
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
He was a man ahead of his time. So obviously there are some significant issues with uterus implantation. I mean, for starters, a uterus is not a plug-and-play device. It is connected to a myriad of things in the female body that all individually play an integral role. And the argument that a uterus transplant has been performed in other women in the past and therefore it will work in a biological male is kind of ridiculous because the female body is equipped to handle having a uterus. And I mean, the only documented case of a successful uterus transplant happened in 1934 with a trans woman who ultimately died of not only an infection, but heart failure associated with that transplant. And guys, I'm not gonna lie, I find this preoccupation with getting the males in a species pregnant really, really bizarre. But nothing is quite as bizarre as a uterine transplant that was performed in China on mice. Chinese scientists forced male rats to give birth while conjoined to female rodents in lab experiments. What? At first, they joined a male and female rat by attaching their skin and sharing their blood. This is so creepy. They then transplanted a uterus from another female into the male before implanting embryos in both male and female rats. The embryos were then left to develop for 21.5 days before scientists performed a cesarean section. After the rats gave birth, the team performed separate surgeries on the rats and found that all the male animals could survive 3 months after the operation, although I'm pretty sure that only 4% of them did in fact survive. And that's enough internet for today. We're so keen on getting males pregnant that we stitch them to the females. What is wrong with our species? I know I've said this now about 400 times, and I know I am a broken record, but I find all of this very, very upsetting. I don't like it. I don't know why we continue to indulge it, and honestly, I find it very unhelpful. Very, very unhelpful. Women are legitimately built, and one of the primary biological processes of a female is to produce ova and bear young. How anybody thinks it's possible to just shift that onto males is totally insane to me. I believe that women are special. I believe that motherhood is really special, and it bothers me tremendously that that is being undermined in order to accommodate the feelings of a very, very small portion of the population. And obviously it goes without saying, pudding people are getting caught up in all of this, and I think that is equally as tragic as the erasure of women. Now, before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder that you can check out Immi using the link in the description. When you do, you can get $5 off a variety pack. Test them out, try them out. If you don't like them, they do have a money back guarantee. Now, I open the floor to all of you. What do you all think? Is this right? Do you think that we have gone off the edge of the cliff, as I so often say? Do you think that the medical community is not within its rights to be doing things like this? Are they going against nature? What do you think of the biological men who want to breastfeed their children? Do you think that it's right that they're doing these things? Do you think it's wrong? Do you think they're within their rights to feel this way? And what do you generally make of this issue overall? As always, if you like the video, hit subscribe and the thumbs up button. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to do so. Just be respectful about it, and I will see you guys next time.